You're listening to the Post-Apocalyptic Media Podcast. If it's post-apocalyptic, we're talking about it.
Hello and welcome back to the Post-Apocalyptic Media Podcast. I'm your host, Shawn, senior editor here at post-apocalyptic.com. This here is episode number 92. I hope you enjoyed last interview episode with Anthony Pollock. You know, Anthony is a great guy. He said in Twitter that he's going to get one of his podcasts back up because of his time here on the show, and that's exciting to me because I want to be on that show, right? I mean, that's kind of a given for me to want to be able to do that. So I hope you enjoyed him on the show. I hope you enjoy if you've been able to check out his other shows. But we have an entirely new show this time, right? Entirely new. This is first we have a lot of news, as always, as I like to say. But also we have some more lighthearted stuff, right? Some good stuff. Good stuff. That's going to be the subtitle of this episode. Podcast episode number 92, good stuff. All right, well, let's get into the first good stuff. This here is a book review from Tina. I love books. Let me just get that right off the bat, right there. I'm a big fan of books. I have my anthology that it should be coming out very soon, probably before Christmas, but I just jinxed it, so who knows. So Tina is actually a bigger reader than I am. She's a hardcore reader. She does book reviews, Sound and Fury book reviews on YouTube. I'll put a link to that. But she also does book reviews for our site. And the one she did last week actually, was she compared two books. Well, she compared them and reviewed both of them. One is Daybreak 2250 AD, which was written in 1952. That's the year my father was born. That's old. And the other one is Earth's Last Citadel, which was from 1943. Right smack dab in World War II, right? Beginning of World War II. So these are old books, right? I mean, 1943 was almost 80 years ago. That's crazy. So these are old books, classics, and Tina talks a good bit about them and, the parts she liked. She gives a really good, honest review. Tina, she's been on the show before if you've heard her. She's very honest, very just kind of tells it as it is. And that's the best kind of person to have doing a book review, believe me. So the first one she looks at is Earth's Last Citadel. It's the way she describes it in here, she says it's not the most exciting and it moves slowly. Characters are very flat and it's full of telling the reader what is going on rather than having us deduce for ourselves. That's kind of a classic, when you write, you're not supposed to tell, you're supposed to show, right? You show, don't tell. That's kind of a big thing about being an author. So that's, I haven't read this book, but that's kind of a negative, I would say, to discover that right away, that's how it is. She says at the end, overall, do I recommend it? I think it's great as a relic, but it's not the best classic sci-fi I've ever read. If you really want something post-apocalyptic from the 40s, then yes, go try to find a copy, but you're not really suffering in life if you skip this one. Great. Yeah, that makes me want to go out and not get it. So, and then the next one is Daybreak 2250 AD by Andre Norton. I don't think she doesn't point that out in this write-up she does, but Andre Norton is actually the pen name for Alice Norton. Alice Norton, of course, is a female writer, and the Andre Norton is her pen name. I think, I'm not sure why, of course, that was done, or but I imagine back in the 40s or 50s, early 50s, it was probably more accepted for men to write sci-fi than women. But Andre/Alice Norton is actually a very, very prominent writer. Everyone knew, that Andre Norton was actually a female writer, and that was she won awards. She was nominated for the Hugo Award many times. I'm just a really big fan of hers and her writing. She actually lived. She died in 2000. I don't know, mid 2005, somewhere around there. And she actually lived pretty near me, about an hour away, which is pretty exciting for me. I didn't find that out until later, of course. But anyway, for me, I like this book a lot, Daybreak 2250 AD. And I think Tina, she seemed like she liked it. Let me see what she says here at the end. She says, the writing is typical for the era, very much a linear plot that's heavy on description and not a lot of interior focus. But the ideas behind it are very solid. And the tropes are a lot of fun. I know Tina loves tropes. Tropes are like the dad jokes of sci-fi. You know, it's like, you know where it's going. You know what's going to happen next. But you still have to read it to find out, right? You still have to know the answer. You have to know the plot and the punchline. She says there's also a scene where they get a car working. That was a blast. I didn't love the novel, but I very much enjoyed it. Recommended if you want to try a classic bit of post-apocalyptica. Very cool review. Thank you, Tina, for writing that up. Very, very, I love book reviews because not a lot of people do them. It takes me a long time to read. I read, a page a day when I read a book, and it takes forever. So I'm always a little jealous and appreciative and respectful of people who can read faster than that and get a lot more in and kind of comprehend what they're reading and be able to turn it into a review. So very cool reviews. All right, on to the next little bit. Another thing actually written by Tina. This was a couple days ago. 13 of the scariest post-apocalyptic movies to watch over Halloween. Of course, Halloween is coming up, right? Next Monday? Wow. So she goes through 13 of the and of course 13 because Friday the 13th and 13 is unlucky number. So, makes sense. So she goes through 13 of the scariest post-apoc movies to watch this week, basically. Dawn of the Dead is on there, 2004. Dawn of the Dead. 28 Days Later. Great film. It's 2002. Wow. That show is 20 years old. That movie. That's the fast zombie one. The one that everyone compares when they say, Romero's slow zombies versus 28 Days Later fast zombies. Which one do you like better? So definitely 2 to put on that list. Then she has I Am Legend, Will Smith and a dog, right? Great movie. It's of course based on the book, but it's also not zombies, and she points it out. They're more mutants than zombies. I mean, they're kind of like vampire mutants almost. Great scenes in there. There's some really gory stuff, great special effects, all that good stuff. Quiet Place and A Quiet Place 2, great movies because there is a creature in it, very scary creature. It's very scary also because you have to be quiet, and that's, scary in itself. And then there's 10 Cloverfield Lane. Great movie. John Goodman plays in just an incredible role. It's about a guy who's like a prepper, and he has a bunker, and this girl is escaping this creature, but she doesn't believe it, or I don't know, something like that. And then she goes down into this bunker and like survives with him, but then he turns out to be the monster himself. Like he's a horrible person. So yeah, spoiler alert. Great movie. Came out in 2008. If you haven't seen it already, definitely see it. There's The Void from 2016. I have not seen that yet, but she says it's more about bringing about the apocalypse than taking place during one. So that's interesting. Us, 2019. I haven't seen this one either, but let's see. She says the ending is the post-apocalypticness of the ending is up for debate. So that's probably why I haven't seen it. But she says it has lots of tension, jump scares, uncanniness that you won't go wrong watching it on Halloween. Sounds cool. Contagion, I've seen that. 2011, very scary because of the last couple years where we've had a pandemic. Very, very, cool plague movie. The Terror Within from 1989. Anything from 1980s, I love. 80s and 90s, right? Great. It has some cool like animatronics and costumes in it that are really cool. Silent Hill, 2006. That's based on the video game, of course. Very, very much horror, but also it does have, it's considered like a post-apocalypse. So very cool. Great addition to that one. Cabin in the Woods. Wow, that's a good one. I haven't seen that in a long time. That's it's a comedy horror when that was cool, Well, it's actually a little bit after when that was cool, because when that was cool in like the 2000s, this came out in 2012. So yeah, it's a little, if you don't want to take your horror too seriously, it's a good one. The Crazies from 2010. Wow. This is a remake from a 70s movie. I haven't seen this edition. I've seen the 70s one. I'm a huge like psychological horror fan from the 70s movies, like Last House on the Left, stuff like that. This is a good movie, the original one, and I didn't even know. I don't think I knew that there was a remake of it, but I have to see that. Mad God from 2021 that just came out last year. It's a stop animation movie. Very, very cool. Tina did a review about it, and she really liked it. So definitely something to check out. Daybreakers from 2009, vampire movie. It's more vampires than, I guess, I Am Legend. 30 Days of Night. She has that. That's a 2007 movie, which isn't post-apocalyptic, but it has like that whole isolated town, aspect of it. So very cool list. Check these out if you haven't. Maybe go through the list and see, which ones you have seen, which ones you haven't, and then check out the ones that she recommends. Great list. All right, another list. This one's written by Val. This will be the last list on this podcast, I think. I mean, today. Who knows about next time? This is best last minute ideas for the perfect post-apocalyptic Halloween costumes. So this is, it's already, Halloween is next week. This is the time right now, a couple days before, when people start figuring out what they're going to be for Halloween, right? My kids don't even know. Well, one of my kids doesn't even know. And what's crazy, because when I was little, when I was their age, I was all about Halloween. I bought, fake blood makeup kits and monster masks. And, I was a zombie, or I was a mummy and a zombie, like a zombie mummy. At one point, and I ripped up a sheet and wrapped it around me, and it took forever, and spirit gum, the sheet pieces together. I mean, I got into it weeks before, it was a big ordeal. It's my favorite holiday. It's still probably pretty close, although I don't get to go trick-or-treating anymore. So there's that. But yeah, great fun, and I think that it's pretty typical, though, that people don't really figure out their costumes until the week before. So Val's here to help you out, right? So she has a list of some of the best, and a lot of these are, there's some Walking Dead related ones. There's a Walker mask that you can get on Amazon. Actually, a lot of these are on Amazon. There's like clothing you can get gas masks. You can get little accessories here and there, like leather armbands that she has listed here, and like arm guards, and you can distress them, take some sandpaper to them. Check out Nuclear Snail on YouTube if you really want to learn how to distress costumes. He does a great job. He's kind of like the OG guy who teaches you that. They sell Pip Boys, the little thing from Fallout that goes in your arm, little Pip Boy. They sell those on Amazon, not of course real, but costume prop. They sell the whole vault suit if you want to be a vault dweller, which, I mean, it's very applicable to today, because actually I have some news about Fallout here in a minute. But just go ahead and grab that vault dweller outfit and paint a big 33 on the back, and I'll explain about that in a second. But that would be very very timely. They also have the Ranger helmet from Fallout New Vegas. They have the Pip-Boy masks, which are those are kind of more for kids, but and then you have the plague doctor mask, right? You have that. And I thought it was cool. She actually also included a video in here that I did a long time ago about distressing a Wasteland gun. I bought this kind of prop M16, and I distressed it in this video I made a long time ago. And I look at it now, I'm like, well, that didn't turn out so bad. I kind of like this. I watched the video at the end there, and I'm like, yeah, I remember doing this. But the video, the distressing of the gun part starts about halfway through. So, the beginning part is this part where I'm making my bed for Wasteland Weekend. But anyway, great article. Thank you, Val, for writing that up. Very cool. All right, now let's get into actual news, right? So, Walking Dead. Where are we at on The Walking Dead? We are final season. We are episode 21. Now, this is for AMC Plus subscribers. And, I'm not trying to gatekeep here, but that's exactly where we're at. If you subscribe, you throw out the $5 a month for AMC Plus, you'll get it a week early. So that's what I do. It's part of my job, but I write up the reviews. But I would probably do it anyway because I like Walking Dead, right? And so this latest one, of course, I'm not going to give any spoilers because I don't think that's fair, especially since it hasn't even come out on regular AMC yet. But this episode is called Outpost 22, and it ties, this is kind of a typical thing with Walking Dead, where everyone splits up for a couple episodes and then they all come back together. And so when they come all back together, they, there's usually some gunfights and big battles and stuff like that happen. So very cool episode. I like it. There are a few episodes this season that I haven't been crazy about, but this is a good one. I think this is a really good one. Now, it's important to remember too, this is episode 21 and they're only going to episode 24. That'll be it. So we have 3 episodes left. And when you watch this episode, you're like, wait a minute. How are they going to tie all this stuff together in 3 episodes? I mean, it's essentially not even 3 hours. Each episode's like 50 minutes. Like, how are they going to get all this together and finalize the show forever? This is it. How are they going to do that in 3 episodes? So it's exciting. I'm excited to follow along and see how this goes. I'll be sad when, the last episode write-up is done, and then I won't have, I've been doing this for a few years now, these Walking Dead write-ups, so that will be no more. There will be an end to that. So, yeah, this is a part where I just start bawling my eyes out. No, just kidding. But it's cool. I love where they're going with the show so far. I think they're doing a great job. And I'm excited to, okay, so I am excited for the end, right? But at the same time, I'm very ready for the end. You know what I mean? I think a lot of fans can say that. It's like, I don't know. It's just like we've beaten this horse as much as we can, you know what I mean? And we've gotten as much as we can out of the same things, but there's a little bit of new stuff here. That they haven't done before. And that's what keeps it exciting. But yeah, I keep wanting to give spoilers and I have to, reel myself back in. So we'll just stop there. All right. Next bit of news. This is actual news. This isn't, this is like scary real life news here. There's a lab that grew brain cells, right? So I'll pause there so that you can take that part in because that's only part of it. Lab-grown brain cells, right, have been hooked up electrically because, of course, we know our nervous system has electrical charges in it, and our brain is the hub of the central nervous system. So these brain cells have electrically been hooked up to some kind of monitor, right? It's like kind of like a 3D monitor, and they have a video of this, of these brain cells in a dish, right, have learned how to play Pong. All right. So Pong, what is Pong? Pong is a game for all you youngins out there. It's a basic game. You move your paddle back and forth on each side of the screen. A ball bounces between them, hits the paddle and bounces back. It's like tennis or volleyball or anything like that, where you're hitting a ball back and forth, right? Okay. But these brain cells, it says in 5 minutes, they learned how to move that paddle and hit the ball back and forth. They learned the deductive reasoning needed to know that you have to move that paddle up. And how do they do that? I don't know how they do that. I have no idea how this is done. To move that paddle up and bounce the ball back to the other side, right? So where are we at right now? Like, what is even happening? On one side of the world, not like, geographically, but one side of society, I guess you could say, we're going down the tubes, right? And on the other side, AI and sentient robots are just enjoying this crazy increase in technology, in everything that they can do. Their cognitive abilities are becoming just insane, right? I mean, last year at this time, we didn't have there was AI art a year ago, but it was nowhere near where it is now. I mean, a year ago, we didn't have AI art making masterpiece paintings based on text prompts where you could put it in and you can get exactly what you're looking for. We didn't have that a year ago. We didn't have brain cells in a dish called dish brain, by the way. That's what the scientists called it, dish brain. We didn't have dish brain playing Pong, right? So it just seems like the plot for a really intense sci-fi movie, right? All the things are falling into place. The dominoes are falling into place. Human society is falling down. Robot society is increasing, rising up. I hate to say rise up, bring out some Terminator terminology here, but so what's going to happen, right? And it's crazy to think about. Like, I have young children, and I think about what is life going to be like when they are my age? How much more is this going to go? Is it going to get to the point where people are going to say, wait a minute, let's pull the plug on these things. Let's stop the AI craziness and let's just go back to being normal people again? Or is it going to get out of control? Is it going to get to the point where AI controls itself and we no longer have a say in what goes on? I don't know. No one really knows. I could do an entire show on this. I actually could. I love this topic. I'm both fascinated and intimidated by the whole prospect of where and how quickly AI is growing. Very cool and scary. So that's it. That's where we're at. There's a brain cells, which, brain cells aren't AI, right? Let's get that out there. But it's the fact that brain cells, the biology of brain cells can be integrated into the robotics, basically, and not only robotics, but just whatever they call that, where it's playing Pong on a screen, right? I don't know, very cool. But this is something to keep an eye on, I think. Yeah, we'll just leave it at that. All right, so this last bit of news I wanted to cover is the big one. Yeah, the lab brain, dish brain thing. That's not the big one. This is the big one. It's actually not. It's just so Fallout, the Amazon Fallout TV show. So Amazon, let me recap here. Amazon has been knocking it out of the park lately. Rings of Power. If you haven't seen that, if you're strictly a post-apocalyptic fan and you're not a Tolkien fan, then I apologize, but I'm both. Love Rings of Power. Great show. Amazon spent a record amount of money on that show to get it where it's at. Just, I think billions of dollars. I don't know. Trillions of dollars. Gazillions of dollars. I have no idea. But they spent a lot of money on it. They've really put a lot of time and effort into making this one of the best shows. Well, now they're going to come out with a Fallout TV show also. And, we knew this. We knew that they were working on that. But the news here is that they came out with their first little teaser shot. There's a first actual shot from the TV show. And what this shot is this is in celebration of the 25th anniversary of Fallout, which is insane. I can't even fathom that. 25th anniversary celebration's been going on all week last week and basically all month. And so they put up this shot. Now let me describe it to you. There are two people on either side of the image, and in the very middle is an open vault door. If you've played any of the Fallout games, even back to 1, you know about the vault doors, right? Big giant gear-looking door that rolls off to the side, makes a lot of noise, and outside it's super bright light. I think it was Fallout 3 was the first one when you walk outside the door and it just blinds you and your eyes have to get adjusted to it. So you see that super, super bright light in the middle and two figures standing on each side of it. It looks like I can't really tell. It almost looks like a man and a woman, but you can't really tell. But they both have a 33 on their back. They have the vault suit and they have a 33. So this is Vault 33, right? So off in the distance in that doorway is another human, I guess. It looks kind of like a human. We can't tell. Has legs and arms and a head. Standing in the doorway. Now, it looks like they're facing inward, so it doesn't look like they're leaving the vault. But again, it's hard to tell. So this could either be a situation where someone is leaving the vault for the first time, or they've accepted a new person into the vault, which is a little more rare, I think, if you've played the games. So I don't know. I think that's interesting. I think, we've already heard some little tidbits here and there about what's going to be. We've heard that there's going to be there's a rumor that the main character is a ghoul zombie type character. We don't know that for sure, but we do know that what's his name, Walter Goggins. Yeah, I think Walter Goggins is his name. That actor. He is going to play the zombie, the ghoul. So I think that's kind of been the main takeaway from that, was that he's going to be the main character, that a ghoul is actually going to be the main character. And Tina wrote up a opinion piece about this 2 years ago, I think, I want to say, about how cool it would be to have a ghoul as the main character. So it's a good possibility. That could be him right there in the doorway. We don't know. Again, this is very, very... it's not even a lot of information. It's a tiny bit of information. We have the vault. We have the vault room. We can tell that the two vault dwellers are inside the vault because the vault room is right there. We can tell that this stranger is either going in or out. I really can't tell. I guess I should zoom in. Well, I still, even zooming in, you can't tell. So, I mean, that's all we know. But that's a great... It's really a great idea for them to do it like this, because people like me will sit here and speculate on it and just think of all the possibilities. Is he going in? Is he coming in? Are they going to accept a new person into the vault? Is he going out? Is this a person who's grown up in the vault and they're going out into the world for the first time? I mean, that's more of a classic, hero's journey kind of a trope right there. So that's what I'm thinking is going to happen. Vault 33. All right, we haven't seen a Vault 33 before, I don't believe. I know not a main storyline. So what's Vault 33? It's going to be, a whole storyline about this vault. And if you've played the games, 3 and 4 especially, you know that the vaults are just considerably different. There's different things. Some of them are experiments. Some of them have they have one person in one vault and they see how he does. And then another one has everyone... has some kind of certain trait, and they put those all in a vault, right? So they're like little ant farms, the little vaults, and kind of experiments in survival, which is one of the great things about Fallout. But yeah, I'm excited about this. 25 years of Fallout. I've been playing it since then, and I mean, technically before that, Wasteland came out in 88, and that was the precursor to Fallout, no matter what people want to tell you. That was the precursor, because Brian Fargo owned, I'm going to get into this, Brian Fargo owned the rights to make this Fallout movie, Interplay, all that. They're the ones who made Wasteland. They sold it. Well, Interplay changed hands. Interplay, Black Isle, they, the whole thing, right? Fallout 1 was kind of the spiritual successor to Wasteland, but nowadays they don't admit that anymore. Now they're kind of like, oh, what? Oh, we made up Fallout by ourselves. Because it got so big. Bethesda and Todd Howard seemed to have forgotten their origin story. So, I don't know. Anyway, I'm very excited about it. If you can't tell, I'm a huge Fallout fan. Huge Fallout fan. I used to write, here's something I'm admitting for the first time in this show. I used to write Fallout fanfic. Yes. And you will never see any of it. Yes. It's really bad. I wrote it when I was probably, 20 something. But yeah, big fan. And that's another thing, Amazon, my two big lore nerd, branches are Lord of the Rings and Fallout, and Amazon has both of them. So Amazon, you have my soul. Oh, what's that, Alexa? No, I was kidding. Alexa, no, turn off. Anyway, thank you everyone for listening. I really appreciate it. Make sure you check us all out on social media, all the social medias. Check us out on post-apocalyptic.com. Check out the show notes for this show, where I will have all of the details and information on everything I've talked about, if I remember to put it in there. And I think that's about it. So everyone, again, thank you for listening. I really appreciate it. Stay alive out there and always be ready for the big one. Bye-bye.